Hi, welcome back to Tech and AI Live London. Now, how do you follow the last session we just had from Becky at Google on how AI is being used? I'll tell you how we'll follow that. We're going to our first panel discussion on digital transformation, something that affects absolutely everybody. Don't forget to send in your questions. Your questions come straight into me here in the studio so that I can put them to the panel. And I'd like to introduce the panel to whom we'll be asking those questions. It's a real pleasure to introduce Roger Graell, who is the Chief Digital Officer at the footwear business Bata, and Simon Cox, Chief Transformation Officer at ServiceNow. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely brilliant to see you. Look, let's kick off straight away if we can. Roger, can I ask you to describe how has digital transformation impacted your organization and your industry? Can you give some examples?
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me here. Now, for us, I think that in the retail industries in general, digital transformation is having a big impact. I would say that there is probably three areas where it's impacting our business. No, on one side, it's a fact that the digital transformation is changing the way we operate. So it allows us to operate more efficiently. It can be from supply chains to operations to product distribution. So I would say that digital transformation is impacting, the whole organization. Also, HR can be digitally transformed through digitalization. So really, I think that it brings a lot of opportunities to our business to operate more efficiently. I would say that's the pillar number one. Another area where I think digital transformation is changing a lot the retailers itself, like us, is that it really opens, of course, a new. It scales the D2C channel. No, I think that the D2C channel has been there for a while. To some companies, but with the digital transformation that we are seeing, in the last 10, 15 years, really, this channel becomes more and more important for retailers. And I think that's also, something that it's super important. And then probably the third pillar, which is it's probably a more long term, and it's something that, from my point of view, many companies we are still building it to make it actionable. Is that it allows us to know our customers far better. No, so I would say that the customer, building, the customer data platforms, I think it's a strong leveler that we need to now to start really collecting and really activating. Of course, many companies, we have been building strong loyalty programs, but I think that with the digital transformation, we can accelerate, we can do it better, and we can really, start building this one-to-one relationship with our customers at the scale. So I would say that this is the three biggest pillars that we can execute as of today, and of course there is more things to come and more opportunities still to evolve.
Yeah. Thank you, Simon. Can I ask you the same question? How has digital transformation really impacted your business, and from the ServiceNow perspective, how do you see that?
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you, Tim. I think perhaps I'll pick up on Roger's third pillar, because obviously customers, or our customers, use ServiceNow as part of their digital transformation. And so, as I hope you would expect, so do we internally. And therefore, for us, digital transformation it's kind of not a new thing for us. It's part of our DNA, because we exist to enable digital transformations. It's kind of where we were born. So for us, the drivers are perhaps more about continuous digital evolution. But we're doing it so that we ensure that we stay at the leading edge of, both the technological and the cultural changes for our customers, and therefore we can help them on their digital transformations based on our own learnings, our own experiences, but then also of the wider ecosystem of, across our 8,000 plus customers. So for us, it's probably more of an evolution, but in a way that means we can help our customers on their transformation.
Yeah, but from your perspective, Simon, and from the perspective of ServiceNow, leadership within individual companies to promote digital transformation and really to see it through a company is vital. Do you see that most companies have the right leadership in place? Is there work to be done on developing leadership?
I think there is a lot of work to be done, but it's not because of any failings. It's just a new world, a new evolution.
Sure.
And often, leadership comes at a later part of your career. I mean, leadership's at all levels, but those who are leading the big transformations, and therefore there's a lot of learning of new ways to be done, or perhaps dare I say, unlearning of traditional ways. And I think you see things like the age of the big 3 to 5 year transformation program with the big bang reveal at the end. I kind of personally think and see that those days are gone. It's much more about incremental drops of value and proof to get the buy-in, get the cultural change, and also it helps you to demonstrate that you're leading in the right way more incrementally. There isn't this big wait for the moment and hope it's okay. You can kind of get that transformation incrementally as you go.
Yeah. Roger, from your perspective, as a leader in this field, what are the challenges? What are some of the challenges and difficulties and challenges that you've faced in promoting digital transformation in your sector?
Well, probably I think the biggest challenge that some of we as leaders are facing, it's probably. I think it's really understanding how the digital transformation is really transforming our businesses and our customers. And then that's for me step one, to really understand, because there is a lot of changes going on through the digitalization of our lives. And then first of all, I think as a business, we need to understand how this is transforming our business, how this is transforming our customers' behavior. And then what we need to do as a leaders is to understand what we can do in our organizations to adapt to this new reality, and then really decide what to do and what to not do. And for me, I always say internally and to my teams, really our work, it's not only to do things, but really our biggest challenge is to decide what to don't do. Yeah, and then whatever we decide to do, of course, the next the chapter of this challenge is to understand how we do it, how much resources we allocate to do this, and then really understanding how we can shorten the time to market as much as we can. No, I think that the time to market is always a challenge. That when we do digital transformation, we have all on the table. So I'm sure that Simon, with his expertise, it's probably helping a lot of companies to reduce this time to market. But really understanding how we make things happen, it's also always a challenge, no? Because it's a fact also that our customers are evolving very quickly. Our businesses, and our sector, it's also changing very quickly. So I think we as the leaders of the organizations that we serve, we really need also to make sure that our organizations are changing at the right speed to really keep leading our field, no? And I think that's probably the big challenge what we all face, and maybe to complement on these challenges that digital transformation is bringing, of course, that recruiting and keeping and motivating the right teams to execute this vision is also, I think, a big challenge that we all are facing. And that's what we why we are paid, and what I think that's the reason why we are here.
Let me just press you further on something you raised there, or a theme you raised there, which is the culture within an organisation. That's the critical shift, isn't it? Getting everybody within the organisation to accept and embrace the projects in hand. How do you do that?
Well, on our side, to be honest, I think that we are in a privileged situation because Bata organization, the entrepreneurship is one of our actives, or really one of our pillars as a company. Our founder was super entrepreneur, more than 100 years ago when Bata was created. But this entrepreneurship has been declined across every single, as the company evolved during the years, no? And I think we still keep a very strong entrepreneurship mindset. We are also, heavily influenced by our Indian businesses, that it's very large and it's also super active and super entrepreneur, no? And I think that, when we have an entrepreneurship culture inside the organization like we have, we embrace changes and we really see, all this, transformation more as an opportunity than a challenge, no? And I think maybe because we are a bit, let's say, on a privileged situation of having this strong entrepreneurship mindset. I think that we don't really face too much challenge of looking at all this transformation that is happening around us as a big opportunities for us to operate better, to be more efficient, to scale our business, to capture new business opportunity in the digital space specifically, to open new markets, to really also to complement our customer journey or customer experience with online and offline integration. So you will really see it as a source of opportunities rather than challenges itself. And I think, of course, that having this mindset inside the organization is extremely important.
Yeah. So Simon, you must have a particular insight on that as an enabling organization, the culture of a company and ensuring it's embraced, digital transformation is embraced throughout.
Yeah, and in all the other organisations I've had the privilege to work in and the ones we work with today, it is always the culture that feels like the hardest part. And the two phrases that always spring to mind that have come up in my career that I like are, number one, an organisation does have a habit of getting in the way of itself, which is one I like, and the other is the old saying that everyone loves change until it impacts them. And you see it across the organisations. And I think the thing for me, whilst digital transformation is relatively new and it's evolving and it's emerging and we're learning new ways of working, actually the ways to get the cultural adoption and buy-in are probably the well-trodden ways we always got cultural buy-in and change. They kind of remain the same. Build ownership at every level in the organisation for the change. Don't do it to them, do it with them. Communicate openly and transparently. Things are going to go wrong, so be open about it and lean into it when it does and solve it together. And just have clear feedback loops, because your vision and your North Star is probably right, but the journey to get there is going to be a different one at the end than when you set out. So when you do change course, communicate, get feedback, change course based on how the things are going. So embrace the culture, lean in on it, make it your joint number one priority, and then you have a much greater chance of success.
Yeah. How about if we shift that cultural question to the end side of the sales process? Customers, members of the public have all got to have a shift in attitude too. Are we there yet? I'm not sure we are. Tell me if we are, Simon.
I don't think we are. No, I think it's the same part of the journey as the evolution of the technology is. And as we seem to move forward, there are always some setbacks, be they in the macroeconomic world or whatever's going on. There's always something, right? But learning from those things, resetting the course correctly gets us there. I think we're in a much better place than we were 5, 10, 15 years ago. And in another year, 5 years, we'll be in an even better place. So just continuing to learn from what we do. Yeah.
Roger, do you see that there's still a big shift from the customer perspective?
Well, I think that Simon is highlighting, I think it's a journey, and then like in every change, you have early adopters, you have maybe people that are, they take a bit longer to adopt to the new environment. But yeah, I think that the things are evolving. We are, certain technology are emerging, and then some ones are adopting it earlier than others. But I think probably the conclusion is, as Simon was, I'm sure I agree with Simon that everything is moving on, and I think the companies are also moving. For me, always the big question here is that how we can make sure that as a company we are evolved equally or faster than our customers, because otherwise you will be out of the business, no? And this is of course the big challenge. I think many companies are doing it right, but of course you should not lose the piece, otherwise you will be really left behind. But yeah, things are evolving. I think the digitalization it's out there across all sectors, across all type of customers, despite the fact that some of them are early adopters, others are maybe taking a bit more time. But I think everyone, for example, I think about my own surrounding older generations, I see that they are also embracing digitalization digital, probably not as fast as the youngest ones, but they are still, they are also, changing their behavior, things that maybe, from buying from home, which is extremely convenient for maybe people with that they cannot move very easily, or they can buy groceries online, which is super convenient for elderly people that can bring a lot of weight. So I think that, the transformation is happening across all customers, across all age groups, but the speed of this adoption, it's different, but I think everyone needs to take his time, no problem.
Yep. Well, thank you for tuning in to Tech and AI Live London. It's great to have you here. If you've got any questions or any comments, thoughts that arise as we continue with this panel discussion, do send them straight through to me in the studio, and I'll be pleased to put them through to our panel, Roger Graell at Bata and Simon Cox at ServiceNow. Simon, one question that's come in that I'd like to put to you first is that in a constantly evolving digital landscape, how does a company decide which impactful technology to adopt, which one to invest in? It's a heck of a broad question.
Yeah, that's a good one. So thank you. So whoever set that one in, I think it has to come back to focusing on the outcome you're trying to achieve for the organisation, the customers, and the employees first. The new technology is great, it's exciting, but it's one of the enablers. And we were talking about culture earlier. You can buy all the new technology in the world, but if you haven't got the right transformation program, the right culture of adoption, then it's not going to get used. So, when I said earlier, the age of the 3 to 5 year program is dead and it's all about dropping incremental value, improving. I think that's one way how you can choose and prove the right technology. Have your North Star outcome you're trying to achieve, identify the trend or the new technology that you think could help, trial it, prove it, proof of value, proof of concept, minimal viable product, whatever term you want to use, and within a month or 2 or maybe 3 maximum, decide, is this going to make a material difference to your transformation or not, and then move on either way.
I suppose the problem is you don't know what you don't know, perhaps where people like you come in to assist.
Yes, I mean that's the nature of transformation, isn't it? You are going to do something that you hope has not been done before and is transformational. So you are going to learn as you go, including the cultural pieces, the technology pieces, every part of it will be a learning journey. Yeah,
Roger, does that resonate with you? How have you chosen which technologies to adapt and embrace?
Well, yeah, it's of course, I was talking a bit earlier on about, that our main work as a transformation, digital transformation leads, it's to identify what we do and what we don't do. Okay, Simon already highlighted that sometimes you need to test and learn, but of course you need to make sure that your bets are as more efficient as possible. No, I think probably a way of making sure that your decisions are going to have positive impact in the organization. It's really listening a lot, watching what's out of the market. In our case in particular, we always try to work closely with the suppliers, with partners, with companies out there, and also with the startup ecosystem. I personally am involved in many startups that they share their ideas, they share their products with us, and then we can learn. Yeah, that doesn't mean that we need to buy everything, but we can learn which are where are the wins if they are coming from one side or from the other. And then with all this information, I think collecting information and understanding what's going on in the market it's a starting point. And then with all this information, we can really try to create our own roadmap, which is doesn't need to be the same as everyone else. And then making sure that every step we make forward, it's really we have a clear goal, a clear let's say objective in mind. And something that for me it's very, very important is that instead of starting from the technology itself, we always inside Bata we always start for our customers. And this is maybe an advice that or a point of view that I would like to share with the audience today is that we always instead of looking at technology per technology, we always start understanding which is the customer problem we are trying to solve. So and then we put our customers in the center of our decision, and then everything we do, every project, every pilot we build, always start with a clear goal of solving one of our customer problems. And then once we identified which is the problem or what we try to improve on our customer journey, then it's when we test and we pilot the solution that we are trying to implement. Yeah, we never start by the technology alone. We always start by the customer, and then starting from this customer, issue or customer pain point, we build the solution using the right technology to solve it.
Yeah, for me, that's absolutely crystal clear. It's a customer-focused approach which drives the technology and solutions you're looking for. Simon, do you see that happening in other companies that you work with?
Yeah, certainly those who are, with my own personal view, which is not necessarily always right, obviously, but the ones that I see that are really leading in transformation for their customers or for their employees, it could be internal HR transformations or external customer journey transformations. Those that, as I said, with that start, that North Star, that outcome you're trying to achieve, that's where you need to focus on, and how you get there is what you navigate through it. So if you don't have that outcome, be it customer, employee, shareholder, whatever focus, then your transformation won't succeed in the way you need it to.
Exactly. What's the point? Yeah. We've had another question come through, and thank you for sending these questions through. Thank you for sharing the digital transformation insight. Can you comment on what are the key challenges for a company going from digital to AI transformation? Simon, perhaps you can pick up on that first.
Well, we've done well, haven't we? Not mentioning AI or Gen AI for the last 20 minutes.
It was going to have to come.
It's got to be a record. The short answer is I don't think anyone has an answer yet. And, if I were to say on behalf of ServiceNow or any vendor were to say, hey, we have the Gen AI solution and it's perfect, it's there, don't believe them, because we are all learning as we go on this. We are, as I mentioned at the beginning, very fortunate in that we get to use our own product ourselves. So we've been using AI in our platform for 6-7 years, and we've now got Gen AI in there, and it's in every corner of our platform, which means we can put it into every corner of our business, and we can see where it works best and where the challenges are. And funnily enough, many of them are cultural, so different technology, but still some of the same challenges. And so therefore our customers can as well. We've got many of our lighthouse customers doing real world Gen AI transformations now, not just kind of laboratory experiments. Things like text to code for engineers. We had a perception that would probably be very difficult to sell to the engineers. Hey, here is Gen AI that's going to write the code you used to write. And it started off a bit like that, but within a few weeks, and this is where the Gen AI speed is truly incredible, within a few weeks, the engineers realized that actually this was enabling them to work on the really, really hard, complex problems, the things they became engineers to try and do and solve, and let Gen AI do the more menial coding tasks that they get a bit fed up with. And just to give you a stat to bring it to life, in the first, I think it was the first couple of months of our pilot internally of text to code, we kind of hit about a 26% adoption rate of the code. So this is engineers saying, I'm okay with the code that Gen AI has created. And we kind of had two views. One was 26% productivity improvement. Anyone will take that in a heartbeat. But also, only 26%. We're somewhere around about the 50-ish% mark at the minute. And I think that's probably where we will land. But just to underpin the theme of today, I think so far, it has been the cultural journey of where Gen AI will work best and enable people to do the jobs you employed them to do and take away some of the administrative, more menial things. So really exciting times, moving at such a pace. In my 30-year career, I've never seen something move this fast. It is incredible.
How do you keep up with that, Roger? How do you keep up with that huge pace that Simon describes?
Well, I totally subscribe to the words of Simon. I think that the generation AI, it's really bringing a huge amount of opportunities ahead of us. Probably, the size of this price, it's still unknown. No, there is every day we see new use cases. Every day we see new opportunities. Especially, I can maybe of course mention the ones that we are also testing or using actively in our case in the retail, also in the digital e-commerce side. From customer service with chatbots that it's fully automated and really it gets smarter and smarter. Translations that as of today, like many companies, we are doing everything with AI. So also product descriptions are evolving very quickly, and also content creation. So and this is just to mention some, let's say, customer facing solutions. Distribution, replenishment. It's also it's going to be transformed by the capabilities that AI is bringing into the businesses. No, so I think we are just in the early days of this transformation. It's probably another wave of transformation on top of the digital transformation that we had in the last few years, and it's really, things are really changing very quickly. I think again, we will go back to what we were sharing, the insights we were sharing earlier on, is that we really need to understand how all these new capabilities can allow us to operate more efficiently, to make more business for the organization, to operate more efficiently, to capture bigger market, to sell more. So the possibilities are endless, no? And what I really believe, I always say that we are still in the early stage of digital transformation, no? And I think that the evolution of AI in the last few years or the last 2-3 years, it's showing that this is really happening. That really things still need to change more, and new opportunities and new changes are coming ahead of us.
Yeah, if I can make a blindingly obvious statement, data is utterly critical to AI. How important is it to have a chief data officer or similar role in an organization, and to have that role at the highest level? Roger.
Well, Simon, go on. Yeah.
No, go, Roger. You go.
No. I mean, from my point of view, anyway, there is one element which I think that the digital transformation needs to happen across every single department. No, I mean, I think by sure having a chief data officer, it really helps to structure the data on the right way. But I think that this digital transformation needs to happen across every single part of our organization, no? So that's what I do believe, that on top of having the right chief data officer to make sure that the infrastructure of capturing and using the data it's executed, I do believe that it's also the responsibility of the ownership of every chief in the organization to make sure that they use the digitalization as enablers to make their business more efficient, no? And I think that on that sense, for example, all of the leaders in our organization have this, very open mindset where they really embrace the opportunities of the digital transformation. And this means for me making sure that they use all the levelers, all the drivers they can, including the use of advanced data capabilities, including AI, to make their functions more efficient and more productive.
Thank you. Simon, I think we need an AI-generated co-host here today, because I inadvertently cut you off on the beginning of that question.
No, not at all.
Your perspective on that crucial role of a chief data officer in a company.
Yeah. I fully agree with Roger. I think it depends on the organisation's culture as to whether you need to have a specific role called the Chief Data Officer. We've seen the rise of the Chief AI Officer start to come out as a potential role. You have the CISO, the CTO, the CDIO. The key point is data. Exactly to your question, Tim. Data is absolutely critical and at the heart of the digital transformation and the Gen AI revolution. So as long as you can point to the place where that has the accountability, the governance, the oversight, the guardrails to ensure that data and AI and Gen AI and your transformation are moving in the way you need them to, then that's the thing you need to focus on. You can put it under a chief data officer, you could merge that with a CIO, but as long as you can point really obviously to where the accountabilities sit, and then ensure it, to Roger's point, it's across the whole organisation, then you're doing the right thing.
That leads nicely into a question we've just received from Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. And he asks, how do you measure the success of digital transformation initiatives? What key metrics or KPIs will most indicate success? Simon.
There's a number. It depends on your transformation, but I think the key things about them is they always need to be hard, tangible numbers. So it can be the productivity gains, the cost of your operation. It can be the customers' use of the products, or the amount of times they are complaining about the processes. But they're not necessarily different metrics to how you had before. But what you should be able to do is measure them in more real time and more accurately and more effectively, and then course correct on your transformation relating to them, so they become more important It's up to you to choose which ones you think are the key to get your outcome, but measure them digitally as you go, not at the end of a quarter or at the end of a year.
Roger, that's perhaps the key point, isn't it? The accuracy and speed at which you can measure results. Have you found that?
Yes, I absolutely agree. As you know, as Simon was saying, I do agree that you should not change 100% of your KPIs or your metrics to track your business, because also I think otherwise you will risk maybe to create silos inside the organization. So I think that, keeping in mind that finally what you try to do is to create value for the full organization. I think that certain high-level metrics needs to remain. It doesn't matter if they are digital enabler or other source of enablings, so functions. And then by sure, if you want really to track closely how you are embracing the digitalization transfer or the digital transformation into the organization, you can, I think, following the growth of the digital transformation and the increased impact in the organization of the digitalization, you can really create dedicated KPIs that you can track thanks to the transformation. It can be digital sales, it can be customer data KPIs. So there is, of course, certain KPIs that you can track that somehow will give you a good metric to understand if you are really embracing digitalization as you should. But you should never, make these KPIs, not related to the global company's goals, because at the end we are, I think the digital business have the mission to build value, to create value for the organization itself, not only for the digital team, for the digital channel, because otherwise you will be able, you can risk to really create a very strong channel, but maybe leaving the company behind you. So I think that's not the way. The way it's really to make sure that the digital transformation it's helping and it's an integral part of the global company strategy.
Yes, yeah. So, Simon, so we've covered some important themes here, the culture of an organization, the vital importance of getting your data right and having senior data control. We've talked about the need to make your transformations absolutely customer focused, to know what you want to achieve out of it, which is pretty crystal clear stuff. How about the agility of a company? We have a question that's just come in from Nils. Asking about flexibility as you go through digital transformation, the need to look several years ahead and the need to change course swiftly and with agility if you need to.
Yeah, I think that's where the kind of the genesis of my posit that the age of the 3 to 5 year program with the Big Bang reveal is gone. Yeah. You can still set your North Star to be something that you expect to be in 3 years, but just be set to the way in which you govern and structure the program, the culture around it to be flexible. Call it when it isn't going the right way. Don't continually try to lean in and fix and then give up a year later. Use those measures and metrics to know when you are improving and moving and when you're not, and be open about it and course correct. I think course correct is the key phrase for me, and do it as close to real time as you can. Yep.
I'm horrified to say we only have 5 minutes left, so I want to crack on to a slightly different theme. Roger, can I ask you to give our viewers here something to take away? Can you give me one example or 2 examples of a successful digital transformation initiative that you've been involved in, how it was achieved, and a big takeaway for somebody listening?
Well, probably very humble, but for me the important message to deliver to the audience is that on one side is that we already talked about this, but we need to, I think when you are looking at the digital transformation, well, number one, you need to still keep your customer as the central of everything, all the decisions that you take. So digital per digital or technology per technology doesn't add any value if it's not related to our customer needs. No, that's, I think it's an important pillar of the digital transformation. So we need to try to digitalize the company based on customer needs, not only making some things very cool, but without taking into the needs of your customer on top. Second element, I already also talked about this, is that we need to make sure that the digital transformation is helping the full organization. So we should always, make sure that we don't act as a silo. We need to really make sure that the digital is happening across the organization. And then, that's for me the two very important pillars. And then, coming back to this last point that we were talking, I think that also the digitalization is changing very quickly. The technology is evolving. We see now the use of AI that it's moving extremely fast. So another area where I would like to highlight that it's very important as a takeaway is that you always need, what I recommend is to create projects not on the very long term. So I think short and mid-term projects are the ones that really can generate value, because the things are changing too quickly. So I think if we plan something for very long term, it might have a project that it's taking very, very long to execute. It may happen that when you complete it, the technology or the environment have changed so much that it's not adding the value that we were thinking. So on that sense, so I think that's probably the takeaways. If we have some examples that we apply it in the Bata organization, I would probably highlight two. One can be the full replenishment system that we have changed recently. So it's not a digital channel itself, but the replenishment. So we really use the artificial intelligence to distribute better, and this is having a super very good impact in the revenue and the leftovers. So there's many KPIs of the organization that are getting better and better. No, I think smarter distribution have a really strong impact in the business. No, and then the other one, it's probably we built a digital hub based out of Italy that it's able to deliver the D2C Bata.com platform for most of the countries where we operate, and with a very centralized digital development hub, but taking care that we also deliver best-in-class local customer experience. It's what is bringing us to a very successful way of developing the digital channel as a sales channel to be close to our customers, to really capture the e-commerce opportunities that it's happening around the world. I think that's probably okay.
So the customer experience, the customer focus, the big part of your takeaway. Simon, can I put that question to you briefly? What's the big takeaway that you'd like people watching to have?
I think the key takeaway, one that I just haven't touched on but worth bringing out, is as you transform hopefully more quickly and you try these things out, our customers of these organizations are used to things happening more quickly. They expect things to be more quickly. The one shift I think we've seen in the last few years is they now also are used to knowing that it could break. The speed at which you're moving means it's likely to break, and the speed at which you see the break is quicker. When it was all manual and paperwork, if there was a failure in the process, the customer probably never even saw it. And I think that culture is changing as well, where customers are beginning to realize that perhaps part of your process that or the service you're receiving could break. It's how you deal with it when it does. And I think part of the transformation needs to think about that as well, as this isn't going to be a perfect world. There are going to be challenges. And those organizations that deal with when it's not quite perfect and they deal with it brilliantly engenders, loyalty for at least the next renewal cycle or the next, the lifetime of the product. So think for the other side to the positivity of the transformation, and then, you're in a really great place.
You heard it here first. IT can let you down. Never. Simon and Roger, this has been absolutely amazing and enlightening. Thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant, and thank you for your questions that you sent through. Gentlemen, we'll let you get back to the day job. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you.